Hey everyone, and welcome to something special over here. This is a little bit of a Plank nostalgia video, but I thought, because it's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, I thought it would be cool to go back to one of my very first parks I've ever done in Planet Coaster, which was the Moon 1 park. And the only thing I added now is the reshade effects, because it makes the whole thing look even nicer. You can pretty much see that this is in a very old biome, because I would have had so much more space now in the new game, but back then it was only available, the space available you can see is basically only here in the middle. It's in terms of a theme park really bad, but back then it all was about something else. You can see I made this Mickey Mouse here in the middle, only out of terrain, because this was in, I think it was in Alpha 2, where we just got the terrain tools, and I wanted to see how far we can use them, and I created this Mickey Mouse thing here in the middle, which is more or less like a little bit of a gigantic statue. This should have been, or this is actually a landing platform, I imagined, so where the spaceships would be landing, even though it would be pretty, I don't know, it would be pretty weird to have them landing next to this gigantic statue. However, it just, I tried so many things in here. So for example, you can see we have all these weird excavator thingies over here, which then are connected as cables. You can see we didn't even have cables back then, so I used lamps, actually street lamps, to connect things. We had these trees over here to kind of create oxygen, and you can see there's also like a little bit of a bubble effect in here in the middle. I made some water sprinklers down here, imagining this would be the only area in this ring over here where you could have water, because again, we didn't have any water in the game back then. So we had these heaters over here, because on the moon it's actually pretty cold, and these are kind of heater oxygen systems. I have to admit that with the reshade effects and so, that looks pretty nice indeed. I remember that this looked very crap back then, but in this kind of sense it does look actually pretty nice. Let me just see, I need to change the time of day quickly, because it's getting dark, I guess. So let's put it to 2 p.m. Here we go, or 1 p.m. actually. Why is this 1 p.m. anyways? So, here we go. This was then the big Disney castle inspired weenie of the park, which is more like a space lab thing we have over here. I had some coasters as well. I'm quite sure they won't work at all. We can have a try to ride at least one of them, but they are pretty much not nice at all. You can see there are so many things I would never do today. Even we have the old entrances, look at that. Remember, in the old versions we couldn't get rid of these entrances, so this is like the entrance booth, how it looked. It almost feels like 50 years of I don't know, of Planko as well. But yeah, let's just talk for a second about the achievement of what the moon landing itself was, because for me as a German, I'm not that much into it as, for example, the Americans, and also since I haven't really lived back then. I've been born quite a few years after the moon landing. I still think, considering that we all have computing power, which is 8,000 times crazier than what they used back then in our pockets nowadays with the smartphones, they still managed to fly to the moon with it. So just imagining that we have 8,000 times the possibility to fly to the moon with the stuff we have in our pockets is, for me, it's just insane, and shows me how much humanity moved forward. And basically the reason that we are able to play a game like that is also grounded, partly at least, in the fact that back then the most clever people in this world came together to build and achieve something like that with the first IBM computer and all these kind of things. That it all moved together, and kind of one thing gave the other, and we are able to enjoy all the computing power today, which eventually was only a space product. But I have some more stuff to show you, and this is the Apollo 11 landing capsule, I should say. This was, back in Alpha 2, I think one of the things I've been most proud of. I mean, by today's standards, that looks weird and rubbish and bad, and I don't know. But I have to admit that back in the day, I was super freaking proud of how that looked, because it's not in scale, but it's as small as you can get it. Like, it's super small, and considering how hard it was to build yeah, small in Planet Coaster, and still is. I mean, come on, let's be honest, it's still pretty hard to build small things. I was super proud of that moon thing. Then we have the Moonwalk coaster, which actually also features Michael Jackson as a statue, which, well, it doesn't look nice, but it was just for the effect. You know, if you're in here, you can see the moonwalking Michael Jackson once you go around here. So I still think it's a funny idea. I don't know if the realization was the best you can get, but yeah. By the way, if you hear some sounds, I'm taking some screenshots here, just in case you're wondering. Anyways, should we just try if we can ride this coaster? I have absolutely zero idea if this is working or not, but we are going to have a try and see if this is working. So let's put that on test and go into the car actually. But I'm quite confident that this won't work. Let's see. Okay. Let me just tell, back then I had absolutely freaking no intent to build realistic coasters, so this is potentially some really crap stuff you're gonna see here. But yeah, it's yeah, I just want to excuse here because I remember that I was more than crap in building coasters. Oh yeah, oh wow. Okay, well, I think I don't need to say anything more. Wow. The fact that I've been proud of this at some point makes me wonder how I could have ever... Oh god, is the autosave just destroying our Michael Jackson moment, right? Yeah, well, okay. Thank you, autosave, for nothing. Okay, no, it's not. Oh well, you can't really see Michael Jackson at all, but just imagining you going around is nice. I don't know, it's just weird. But yeah, so this coaster is absolute garbage. I mean, the best part of the coaster is in the dark, because you can actually not see a thing. I think this is the best thing about this coaster, at least for now. Let me just see if there's anything else we can expect in this coaster. I guess there isn't. Wow, I'm still wondering that it works, but was it that back then? Okay, yeah, we can. I could have just put on the lights. But well, it's funny to see that the coaster works. I mean, at least this is something I haven't expected. Okay, so there is not really much more I can show you. Like, we have the solar panels, obviously, that are here to create energy, even though considering how less of these are in the park, it would never actually work. And then we have the dive coaster. I remember that the dive coaster was okay-ish. So let's try this one before we end this episode, because again, it was just like a little bit of a charming thing I wanted to make. Wait, this is the one up the hill already? Okay, I think we are already up the hill. Yeah, let's take it. No one needs the chain lift anyways, so let's see how this thing is. God, okay. What the actual F is that? Well, okay, never mind. Okay, I remember back then that I liked this coaster, but no way that this is even... Anyways, the idea about it is nice. Jesus Christ, this is so bad. The idea was that this is kind of a, you know, a rock excavator, if you want to call it like that. So we have this big wheel over here from the excavator getting all the rock stuff out. It then goes over this ramp down here into this molding, whatever, and then it's going to use to be burned here and kind of I think it was meant to take the water out of it from the ice, which is inside of the boulders. So I tried to you know, work in a little bit of a story here. I think in some parts I succeeded, but in most of the other parts I kind of failed hard because, well, these are the grass kind of greenhouses where we have all the plants to create the oxygen, which is even bigger than the other ones, and I had the coaster that should tell the story to go through here, but again, this was a really crap coaster. However, this is one of my still one of my most viewed videos on YouTube, which is super bad, but it is how it is. Like, this is still one of my best coasters in terms of views on YouTube, but it's bad, so I'm not going to show it to you. If you want to enjoy this coaster, just search for it. I'm not gonna tell you what this is because I feel bad talking about this. Anyways, that's about it already. This is this is my Moon 1 park I made 2.5 years ago, maybe even longer ago, when there was actually the Alpha 2 of a Planet coaster available, which is quite a long time ago. So I hope you enjoyed this very, very quick look at Moon 1, and yeah, just as a little special just regarding the current exciting 50 years anniversary of the moon landing. So yeah, that's it. Hope to see you in the next one, guys, and have a great time. Until then, bye bye.
We may find love that's flowing.